What makes a man think? What makes someone choose the path they are on? What makes someone move out in the light, and what makes someone shutter off into the shade? Pretty deep and psychological questions right there. Studying people and so on. I grow more and more fascinating with the science of human behavior day in and day out. Maybe because I myself am somewhat socially chopped, so understanding people on a deep, character analytical fashion makes me somewhat excited. Maybe because I'm chronically online and by passing through blue, red and black pills made me think more about human behavior. I already created some videos already discussing what makes someone the thing they are right now. So I guess this is the path that this channel will go into. Observing people, studying people and interacting with people. I say that you can categorize them in 4 categories. Active and passive optimists and active and passive pessimists. Maybe not always accurate, but you can pretty much categorize anyone you know into these 4 archetypes based on their mentality and ways of thinking. But first we need to define what each segment means. An optimist doesn't mean just happy, or being a pessimist isn't just sad. It's a little more complex. Being an optimist means you tend to create a hopeful, somewhat unrealistic but uplifting image of the world, tending to see the positives in the outcomes that occur. A pessimist sees the perceived reality of the world without filters, the world that is in many times unfair, bleak, uncomfortable and uncontrollable. Basically the half full, half empty class question. Being an active or a passive component, whatever worldview you have, either positive or negative, means your level of participation in the change and work towards the world. Meaning, if you're an active optimist, you perceive the world as a hopeful place, and that everything will work out fine because you are actively participating, when you're actively pursuing things in life. However, a passive optimist believes that life is already good, therefore their participation towards results is not needed. Therefore, they don't do jack shit. What makes someone an active, passive optimist or pessimist is the environment they've grown up in, and how they acted counter to that environment. Early attachment and parenting, social modeling, cultural values and life events determine someone's personality type. No one becomes a pessimist or an optimist out of the cold moon. Events during childhood, financial and health situations make a person perceive the world how they currently see it. Let's dive into the personality types. A passive optimist is a blue pillar, if I were to use chronically online internet semantics. As already mentioned, he sees the world in a positive light. Even if there are some issues, some moments of bleakness and negativity, or hardships along the way, with the passage of time things just work out for him. Or at least that is how he feels. The majority of people are passive optimists. They do not see the need for any significant change or improvement in their lives, because they already perceive their current situation as okay. These people don't really tend to give good life advice or any wisdom, except time will heal or just be positive and things will work out on their own. They don't really have ambition. You can visualize a passive optimist as that one co-worker who gets to work, talks all day about random topics like football, politics and small unimportant events, just to later go home to chill. I had a friend in high school who was like that. When self-improvement started to explode and when we all realized that we are cooked if we don't focus on money, looks maxing, gym, training and all of that, we started to really focus on leveling up our own lives. Some for the sake of boning girls, some for gaining respect from others. That friend, even though we pushed self-improvement onto him, because he was a horny bastard and he never really did anything in reality, had a 1-week gym phase, didn't even change his wardrobe or hairstyle or anything, even though he sometimes looked goofy as hell. He just ignored all of that and decided to snap all day, every day, out of boredom. He was completely positive in his chances of finding a girlfriend, even though he didn't really actively do anything to boost his chances except just directly messaging them. Which of course, texting women will significantly boost your chances of getting a potential date. But if you repeatedly do the same thing over and over again without any change in the results you're getting, you are a moron or a passive optimist. Which is not that bad if you think about it. If you're so deep in the black pill rabbit hole and your mental health is decimated, you have to come to the conclusion that normies, or blue pillars, or NPCs, or passive optimists have much happier and fulfilling lives, just going with the flow of the wind, whatever way the future takes them. Ignorance is truly bliss, man. Constantly feeding your mind with the truth, or what you think is the truth, will make you neurodivergent. Which, if you are aware of the consequences, go for it. Seeking truth is a hard road to take. Many of you would be better off mentally if you just experience the world through sugar-coated lies. No, Where was I? Oh yeah. That guy, even in small details, when I observed him in the past, he was mainly positive in everything even though he never really did anything. And I question, how can you be so positive all the time? Your grades aren't that good, you're getting disrespected by the majority of the class for your innocent and clueless behavior, even some teachers find you annoying. Are you stupid enough so that you cope with your existence by expecting hopeful and positive outcomes in life, like a gambler in front of a slot machine? Or are you intelligent enough to disregard how you are treated because you know that the only power people have over you is when you allow them to have that power over you? So are you just being yourself unfiltered? Anyways, however it is, a passive optimist waits for life to reward him without input. An active optimist also sees the world in a positive light, whilst actively participating in the improvement of it. You can call most red pillars active optimists. The idea that everything will work out if you put in the work. If you hustle and grind in your youth, everything will work out. All of these self-improvement, self-help gurus, red pill coaches, and are active optimists on the surface, because the idea that hard work will pay off is a very good feeling. In high school, most of the athletic kids and jocks were active optimists, mainly because everything they did worked out very well. Therefore, that positive reinforcement loop made them acquire an optimistic worldview, whilst also teaching them that being active in life contributes to their success. They are the types who would give good life advice, but will fall short when they encounter nuances. Yes, meditating, journaling, and self-improvement and all of that can indeed help you, but they don't contribute directly towards your success. Therefore, there are many successful people who reached massive amounts of success without following these advices. On the other hand, some are genetically chopped or have struggles that the active optimist just doesn't understand, which many times makes the active optimists angry. How could you not achieve the level of success I achieved? Just follow what I did and you will be successful like I am right now. What? Like, what? I don't understand. You're telling me that 16 reps of dick twists on the preacher curl machine didn't shoot your testosterone directly towards your spinal cord, making you 67% more motivated to make more money? Well, I do not get it, because that is what I did and it worked for me, so I guess that it should also work for you. Still, being active in life is a good thing. Even though active optimists are slightly delusional in their approach to life, they're actively participating in their life. Being active is so important, and I preach that heavily. Even if you are devoured by life, by the black pills, by nihilism and apathy, still be active, just for the sake of your mental health. Being active is so important, not only on the small scale of just going for a walk, or moving in the gym, or exploring places, but also on the psychological and spiritual aspect of a person. Nietzsche promoted walking. Many philosophers promoted walking. Going back to the topic of the active optimists, sometimes they get annoying because they are stubborn in their worldview, which I'm not saying it in a negative way. Being stubborn in life is a good thing if you want to preserve your values. But even in the negative aspect of that stubbornness, being active outweighs that. To conclude, constant positive reinforcement loops created the active optimist, making him think that 100% of his effort inputted in his life means 100% of the reward he's getting. A passive pessimist sees the true reality of the world, without filters, meaning he understands that the world is bleak, unfair, shallow, and so on. His reaction to the worldview is being passive, being a coward, let's say. When you have thrown all delusion away and have been exposed to the truth, they don't do anything in their favor. Just shut off, fade away, close themselves off. The average black pillar is a passive pessimist. You have been exposed to the truth of the world. You understand female nature, how looks and socialization are important, and you acknowledge that you do not possess those characteristics. You understand that you are lacking behind, but you choose to do nothing, just accepting your defeat and continue playing your video games to pass the time, waiting for the sweet release of time, or a miracle moment in your life that will turn it around. A miracle moment that will never come. Defeated, even though I empathize with the genetically inferior, aka the incels. Being and choosing to remain a defeated loser is not the way. Do something, man. At least something. Passive pessimists are the most pathetic types of people out there. I met one in my real life, at my workplace before. Working with these people is the toughest thing ever. They do things lazily, slow, just the bare minimum. And outside of working, talking to these people is tough. I understand venting. Venting is okay. It is healthy to sometimes just voice up your problems and share them with your good ones just to feel acknowledged. But passive pessimists are actively, or I should just say, passively sabotage everything around them. Oh, that would not work. Oh, this will take time I don't have. Oh, what's even the point of this? Just an overall defeated mindset in life. You fell into the hole, and instead of at least digging bit by bit to get out of the hole, you choose to sleep down there. And when there are possible solutions or tools to get out of the hole, passively, you dig yourself even deeper. This is not acceptance. In the 5 stages of grief, denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance, passive optimists haven't even reached the position of acceptance stage, because if they did, they would, as the word says, accept their current situation, accept the things they can and cannot change, and work towards those things they can change. But now they are just remaining in limbo. An active pessimist sees the reality of the world, understands the misfortunes and unfairness of his life circumstances, and yet chooses to do something in life regarding that. The white-pilled, enlightened class of people, they are the ones who possess the truth and know how to use it in their favor. They have applicable knowledge. Active pessimists tend to give the most real, down-to-earth advice regarding life and so on. When you have been dealt cards that are not the best, instead of tossing them away like a passive pessimist, you play them in your favor. When you have been defeated many times in life, you choose not to remain defeated. This life is tough, man. Life truly is unfair. Some are born to be winners and some are born to be losers. But here's the thing. Those who fully believe in free will, the optimists, are fools. And those who fully believe in determinism, the pessimists, are idiots. Active pessimists walk the tightrope between genetic determinism and free will. They understand that genetics play a huge role in life, but also understand that we have the will, the choice of choosing our paths. I am young and foolish still, but I think it is downright idiotic to possess knowledge without having any use from it. I met many black pillars online, discussing many topics regarding dating, looks maxing, and life philosophies. And many times I asked them what do they do themselves with the knowledge they acquired throughout the years. Some of them avoid the question and stir the topic to something different. Some of them admit to just chilling and passing the time via media and artificial hobbies, which to me sounds like those college goers that brag about how they know everything. But once they need to apply their knowledge to the real world, they just short-circuit. When you study some philosophy, not for a school project or for a work task, shouldn't your main priority be how can I apply this knowledge to my benefit, and not how much information I can memorize from this book? Active pessimists have applicable knowledge. Now, understanding the 4 archetypes, let's rank them by which of them have the best approach to life. At the first place, we have the active pessimist. Seeing the reality of the world and being active in it is the best thing for the quality of life. In the second place, we have the active optimist. Slightly delusional in his approach to life. Being active is still very important. Working towards things and having vitality towards life. Here are the 2 examples of both active optimists and pessimists. In Death Note, by the way, massive spoilers ahead, skip this part if you want to dive into the modern literature later. Light Yagami is an active optimist and L is an active pessimist. Light Yagami, just to quickly explain the plot of the anime, has acquired a method of killing people by writing their names in a notebook. With this power, he chooses to kill broadcasted criminals for the sake of changing the world for the better. Later, massive investigation companies and organizations united to locate the source of the killings. Over time, as Light found a way to kill and scare off most of the police force and world's criminal investigation agencies, most of them succumbed to Kira, Light's killer name that society gave him, except L. L used clever tactics of reducing the suspect pool just to find Kira. With his deduction abilities, he did find that Light Yagami was Kira. He was just never 100% sure if it was him. Later, he did find that Light Yagami was Kira, but he was just never 100% sure it was him. Later, massive spoilers, Light kills L before L could fully deduct that Light was Kira. A massive win for Light Yagami. This is the part of the show where most people close off the story, as they did not like the second part where a new character, Nier, came to the spotlight. Pretty much at the end, Light is exposed as Kira by Nier and dies a sad death. Now that you somewhat understand the plot, Light always was confident in his abilities of winning, in his chances of winning, because he only knew winning. He was extremely attractive, he was top of his class, even in his own country. He was constantly getting attention from people praising him, even when he did massive blunders like exposing the fact that he lives in Japan, in that specific region, by killing the so-called fake L person on screen out of pure ego. He never really had the mindset of, it's over, it's over! He fully believed that he will win, whilst L did massive risks, putting himself in death's harm many times, just to get close to Kira. L fully understood he could die at any moment, and later he sensed his inescapable death, whilst Light fully believed he will succeed. You can see that Light is an active optimist and that L is an active pessimist by the way they died. L accepted his defeat, whilst Light had a full mental breakdown. The whole world crumbled in front of Light Yagami's eyes. This was his true defeat in his life, and it crushed him. Man, when I was rewatching Death Note, L's death truly sent down shivers down my spine. Such a huge build-up to that moment. God damn! Go watch Death Note, you will not regret it. The second example is Berserk, when Guts threatened to leave the group and had to fight Griffith. Once again, to explain the plot of Berserk quickly, and once again, spoilers alert, Berserker's plot is set in medieval world filled with famines, hopelessness, death and nihilism. Guts is a character who had a tragic upbringing. Growing up without his parents, he had to fight and survive as a mercenary. In the chapter, the Golden Age arc, from a young age he had to fight in wars. He tended to work alone to survive, doing contracts for some gold coins. But at some point he encountered a group that imprisoned him because their leader, Griffith, saw great potential in him. A duel occurred where the stakes were if Guts won, he could leave the group, and if Griffith won, he had to serve under Griffith. In the first duel, Griffith won. Later, as years passed and as Guts served Griffith in the new group, and as he learned how to be more social and being a part of the group, he started to question his life, his purpose and so on. Is he following his own dream, or is he following the dream of Griffith? Griffith wanted his kingdom, to climb the ranks from a simple leader of a group of bandits to being a king. The group was helping him achieve that dream because the group was way too weak to be themselves or to follow their own dreams. Guts saw all of that and decided to leave the group once again. But Griffith did not like that, so he went on his own way to stop him. In the second duel, which is also a great piece of absolute cinema, Guts utterly crushed and embarrassed Griffith. At that moment when Griffith experienced his true defeat, he was crushed. But when Guts experienced his defeat in the first duel, he accepted that and moved on. Griffith was decimated. From that moment he was mentally destroyed. Whilst Guts only thought for Griffith, it was a simple defeat. You move on and continue. Guts was an active pessimist, whilst Griffith was an active optimist. To get back to the ranking system, that is the reason why an active pessimist is in the first place, and an active optimist is in the second place. The reason why they are in the top 2 places is because they are active in life. That is the reason why Guts and Griffith are main characters in the story, because passive characters in the story are side characters. On the third place we have the passive optimist. As I already mentioned, a passive optimist sees the world as a good and chill place, so he somewhat has an excuse to be passive in life. And on the fourth place we have the passive pessimist. A passive pessimist does not have an excuse like a passive optimist. He sees the reality of the world and chooses to do nothing about it. These people are losers. Never be this guy. When life defeats you, go pursue small wins. Start building up that positive reinforcement loop. I understand that it is hard, but you have to, because what else can you do? Keep coping by already doing what you desire, just in an artificial form, like video games, drugs, media, porn, and so on. Passive pessimists are defeated idiots. Passive optimists are hopeful fools. Active optimists are enlightened, vital fools. And an active pessimist is an Ubermensch. Yes, I had to reference Nietzsche's work once again. What are you? Tell me in the comments. I would love to believe that I'm an active pessimist, as I myself am deeply blackpilled about many concepts about the world, but I choose to act upon my own misfortunes and improve my situation in life for the better. But I have to agree that sometimes it is even too much for me. Sometimes life defeats me, and I hide and isolate myself from society. Sometimes I get dark and nihilistic thoughts that are raw, unfiltered, and messed up to the point that I just have to cope with it somehow. Cope by loading up old video games and spending time playing them with an excuse of I'm working because I'm recording my gameplay for the footage or for my YouTube project, and I record 40 minutes of it whilst playing them for 5 hours. Sometimes I fall in the depths of being a passive pessimist. It is comfortable sometimes. Just thinking, man, I'm so powerless and insignificant to the input I input in my own life. And then I fall into genetic determinism. And then I start accepting these explanations or excuses on why it is so over for me. But I have to remind myself that I have to walk this tight rope between genetic determinism and free will. I still have some power to affect my life. My will to power. The will. Sometimes life defeats you, man. Sometimes it crushes you and makes the future seem bleak. But you need to sometimes narrow down the picture. Stop looking at the entire picture. I know that is the most common phrase, is to look at the entire picture, but when you remain in that perspective for days, months, years, you need to realize that you will not be able to make any significant progress in your life due to the sheer massiveness and pressure from life. Narrow down your perspective and do things that are achievable by you. We tend to get overwhelmed by looking into the uncertainty of our own futures, and being overwhelmed leaves us stagnant in life. Being overwhelmed leaves us passive, and being passive, staying in one place in life, is not the only way, man. Be active. Do something in life. Peace out.